We live in a 24-hour society where most of us are constantly tired. And we're tired of it. I'm 25 this year and I sometimes struggle with bad sleep. This is my dad. He's 60 this year and he has it worse. I'm trying to find out why are Singaporeans so sleep deprived and can we actually fix our sleep?
In and out.
The risk of diabetes is higher, of cancer.
Singapore ranks as the most fatigued nation in the world, with a fatigue score of 7.2 out of 10. How bad are Singaporeans sleep? And who is at risk? Okay, so I'm gonna go around asking people how well did they sleep last night from a scale of 1 to 5.
It was pretty good. I rated 5.
I think 2 lah, 2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, and what about you?
3?
3.
3 and you?
3.
3, okay.
I think like also 3.
3. Like what keep you from having a good night's rest?
Came back from the night shift before that.
Project work that I procrastinated on.
I don't know. It was just like that.
Because after my son was delivered, right, then every night he may wake up like 1 or 2 times for milk.
Yeah.
Sometimes need to work late also. Yeah.
Okay, but on average, how many hours of sleep do you normally have?
Sleep about 4 to 5 hours a day.
4 to 5 hours every day.
Yeah.
And you?
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
Yeah, ish.
Okay. Are you all satisfied with your sleep?
Could be better. Could be better.
On a school day, 5 to 6.
5 to 6. Okay.
Normally it's around 6 hours. Yeah, 5 to 6 hours. Yes.
Are you satisfied with your sleep?
Not really, but I have no choice also.
Do you know that Singapore is one of the most sleep-deprived countries in the world?
Yes.
Why do you think that is so?
We're just overworked.
Overworked?
Yeah.
Okay, but you seem
Our
to have
culture.
good sleep though.
Only recently. Only recently because it's New Year. It's New Year.
That most of the Singaporeans sleep very late. Yeah, which is very different versus China.
Talking to these Singaporeans and even my friends, I realized that we're not alone. And a lot of us actually struggle with sleep. Okay, so I'm quite a light sleeper in general, and usually I take quite a while to fall asleep. And even when I do, I'll wake up very easily or I'll wake up feeling tired. And I don't know whether it runs in the family because for my dad, he falls asleep quite easily because he's usually quite exhausted after work. But sometimes in the middle of the night, he'll wake up for long periods of time. Okay, so how would you rate your sleep upon 10?
Maybe around 4 or 5.
And how many hours of sleep do you get in a day?
Maybe 5 or 6 hours.
Do you ever get woken up in the middle of the night?
Yeah. Maybe about 2 or 3 o'clock. Maybe sometime it can last for 1 hour before I can go back to sleep again. When I wake up, I feel tired. I don't get this kind of disrupted sleep every day. So just that I do get it quite often.
So to dig deeper, I met with Dr. Stein, a sleep researcher at the NUS Sleep Lab. He's kindly provided us with tracking devices for us to monitor our day-to-day and sleep.
The device that we use most often is called the Oura ring. It's a device that you wear on your finger. It tracks your movements and your heart rate and your temperature. And with that information, it estimates when you are awake, when you are asleep, and through what sleep stages you go through during the night.
Do you have any science-backed tips that you can give my dad and I to improve our sleep?
Good sleep starts in the morning. So get up early, have some sunlight exposure, and do some exercise. Then during the day, watch your caffeine intake, especially in the later half of the day. And avoid daytime napping, especially in the later half of the day.
Really? Why?
Building up sleep pressure during the day is important. When you take a daytime nap, you actually release part of that sleep pressure. When time comes to go to bed at night, you might actually not be sleepy enough to fall asleep or to sleep through. And at night, for sure, make time for sleep. Older people would naturally sleep earlier and sleep shorter. All of this will help to build a good routine for healthy sleep.
So we wore our sleep tracking rings for about 2 weeks. I drank coffee before 3 p.m, avoided naps, and had sunlight exposure in the morning. I'm usually someone who exercises in the late afternoon or at night. I've been trying to get into the habit of exercising in the morning because apparently it's much better for your sleep.
And to be honest, it's been a bit hard to implement all these micro habits into my lifestyle along with my dad because I barely see him in the day. So we'll be doing it separately. So my sleep score last night was pretty good, honestly. It was optimal, and I think it's because I actually had a wind down routine. So what I did was I avoided using my phone too much. So my timing of falling asleep was 20 minutes, which is not too bad. Average person should fall asleep within 5 to 10 minutes. I think anything less than that, you might be severely sleep deprived. So far, I think my worst day, I had a total of about 5 hours. So yeah, I actually think my review so far is that my sleep has been improving. I think this whole sleep hygiene routine that I've been trying to get into is pretty good and kind of forces me to get out here in nature and enjoy, I guess, the quietness of the mornings.
But my dad wasn't having the same experience.
I haven't slept from in and out of sleep.
What, you went to sleep very early?
Yeah, I went to sleep 10 plus. Yeah, after that, struggle until now.
10 plus? Now it's already like
1:30.
It seemed like things weren't working out too well for my dad, and I suspected that he had sleep apnea because he snores. So I sought advice from someone who got treated for sleep apnea and insomnia.
I had bad sleep for a while, I think more than 15 years. Like what made me seek help was when my mom was diagnosed with sleep apnea also. Me and my mom has the same symptoms. So I think the most common symptoms with people with sleep apnea is like the snoring. And what I realized is I also snore quite badly. I think there were a couple times when I fell asleep in class, and then I was waken up by my own snore. Yeah.
Wow, that's very loud. Then maybe can you share a bit more about your sleep apnea, like how they affect your life?
Okay, so like I think from uni until like working, I am always like very tired in the day. Naturally, if you pack so many things in a day, you'll be tired one lah. But I think for me is like my tired is like I just feel very sleepy all the time. It came to a point where like I didn't want to do things. It also like leads to a lot of procrastination. After I was diagnosed, that was when like a sleep doctor recommended me like the CPAP trial lah.
But was this life-changing for you?
Yeah, it was very life-changing. Like for me, it really helped lah.
Okay, so you know how you found out about your sleep apnea through your mom?
Yeah.
So how would I know if my dad has sleep apnea, and like how important is it for us to check?
Go see a specialist. Yeah. The most important thing is to seek like medical help. Because the thing is, I'm sure there are more sleep conditions that are affecting people's sleep lah.
If Kun Hao's mom didn't know she had sleep apnea for over 40 years, could my dad have an undiagnosed sleep condition too? I'm having him tested by a sleep dentist in the clinic.
Do you feel tired?
At times, yes.
At times, okay.
She's doing a sleep screening for my dad.
Already we know that just a single night of sleep deprivation, our inflammatory levels in our body go through the roof. So the risk of diabetes is higher, obesity is higher, risk of cancer, poor wound healing, infections is a lot higher.
Yeah.
So obstructive sleep apnea is when somewhere along your upper airway, there is something that's blocking your airflow. When someone is asleep, they basically stop breathing, or they have periods where they have very low airflow. Just because you have snoring, it may not mean you have sleep apnea, but also if you don't have snoring, it also doesn't mean that you're safe. So that's why we're gonna do a home sleep apnea test for you. So exercising, meals, and stimulating activities, make sure this does not happen before bedtime.
But then things like melatonin, so my dad and I or sometimes we do take it when we cannot fall asleep. So should we be taking melatonin?
What I've seen on the market is that the dosage is unnecessarily high. I think a lot of people are kind of taking it like it is a vitamin to help them sleep. It shouldn't be used that way. It should be used in a short term to help people correct issues with our sleep cycle. People who are jet lagged, for instance, people who need to shift their time clock because they're flying to another country. No one really should be taking melatonin long term.
Okay, so melatonin should only be used to counter jet lag. And while waiting for our sleep apnea test results, I dug into more research and found this trend called sleep tourism. People leaving their homes just to sleep. But can something like a sleep retreat actually help you sleep better? To find out, I spoke to someone whose sleep retreat was life-changing for her.
They're tempted now.
It's so worth it. Like, I would save up for the whole year. If it takes that long, I would just go. It's so good.
Okay, so why did you choose to go for it? Like, how was your sleep back then?
My sleep quality was really poor and I was like chronically tired. So that was why I really wanted to kind of take the time out to attend a sleep retreat.
Okay, and how was your experience doing a sleep retreat?
I only went for 3 nights just to have like a taste. They do recommend a minimum of 5 nights there to really have a very good in-depth look at the core issues that cause your sleep insomnia, basically. They also do in-depth work, which is like a urine test, sleep apnea test. And the program consists of relaxation therapies. So they also have like meditation, they have float therapy.
So how much does a sleep retreat typically cost actually?
Okay, so the one I went to at Chivas Home, it starts from 1,200 Singapore dollars. I think it can go up to like a couple of thousand.
Would you advise Singaporeans to go for a sleep retreat?
I think honestly in this day and age, it's 2025, like you have to fix your sleep because it really sets the tone for like the rest of the day. But it also sets the tone for like the state of your health. It might be a bit expensive, but it's so worth knowing exactly what underlying issues you may have that's causing your lack of sleep. And I do not take my sleep for granted anymore.
But what about a sleep retreat in Singapore? We chose to experience one locally to see if there's a more convenient way of getting better sleep. My dad and I checked into Grand Hyatt Singapore to try their Sleep at Hyatt experience for 2 nights.
Wow, that's so nice. Apparently this is the sleep kit.
Sleep retreat.
So Grand Hyatt gave us both special sleep kits each with stuff meant to enhance our sleep. I actually spammed these on myself and continued using them after the retreat. The Sleep at Hyatt experience also came with buffet breakfast and $100 dining credit. We really stuffed our faces. A bit too much, to be honest. Our first morning, we tried out one of their wellness sessions where this nice instructor taught us some deep stretches and sleep exercises.
All of us are legs so tight. So now we use the wall, diagonal pull, so tuck your chin and it kind of stretches the neck.
My dad was definitely not used to it.
How does your body feel? How do you feel?
Very stretched.
Very stretched. And that's how we're supposed to feel.
Finally, we consulted a professional sleep psychologist to find out more about the psychology of sleep. So recently we've been trying to implement a few micro habits here and there to improve our sleep. But is there a way that we could possibly be doing too many things or overthinking our sleep, and could that worsen our sleep actually?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And I think there has to be a balance between not caring about your sleep enough and putting too much effort. So as long as you've created a comfortable environment and you've made sure that you've taken care of your stress and anxiety, then good sleep should happen on its own.
Maybe that's why you had that night.
In and out of sleep.
So what happened is that when we start to track our sleep since last Friday, January my sleep was pretty optimal, and then I tried to pick up some of these habits and so on. Then one of the nights, I thought it was a normal night, I wasn't very too stressed, and for some reason, despite practicing some of this, I have really bad sleep, as in I had difficulty going to sleep, and then my sleep score just dived, right? So up to now, we still couldn't figure out what was the cause.
Right. And sometimes we just don't know because our bodies are not machines. It could just be things that happen and we can't figure it out. And I think the important thing is to make sure that the perfect isn't the enemy of the good. So as long as you're having good sleep on most nights.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your experience at this sleep retreat?
Oh, I think I will rate it at 3.5. I would have rated 4 if not for the false alarm on the first night that we stayed in the middle of the night.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. The fire alarm has been activated in the building. We are investigating the situation. Please remain calm. We have investigated the situation and found it to be a false alarm.
Okay, so how was your sleep score the past 2 nights?
Okay, so despite that false alarm, I still have a 86 sleep score, which is kind of optimal.
My first night was 83 and my second night was 91.
Yeah, correct.
So
you
the
can see.
second night was pretty good. I think when I experienced things like the gym and the hydrotherapy spa thingy, I was really quite relaxed.
Because the retreat comes with buffet. So it takes a bit of a discipline to make sure that we don't overeat. When we overeat, it will affect our sleep.
The whole thing that with Dr. Elaine is don't eat too much, and then we have this. Eat first, come.
So, after checking in with Dr. Elaine about the results of my dad's sleep apnea, turns out he has mild sleep apnea, but that's not really a major cause for concern. And after 2 weeks, it was finally time for us to return the Oura rings and find out whether our sleep really improved.
Well, a couple of things to say. Like, this is your sleep, and I actually think your sleep is really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
So,
Never had that compliment before.
you do get like a good 8 hours of sleep like every night.
So this is my sleep graph. Can I see my dad?
If I put them side by side, you sleep a little bit shorter than your daughter.
Yep.
During sleep, you wake up and for a slightly longer time, and it might take a little bit longer before you can fall back asleep again. There are some days with daytime naps. Naps actually take off like the sleep pressure, makes you sleep like a little bit lighter during the nighttime sleep.
Do you feel that there's actually really a ideal routine that we should follow?
I think the ideal routine is like very personal. So some things work very well for some people. So I think like what is important is to figure out like what are the factors for yourself and find a good routine for those factors.
So I think the overall experience has been very good. I didn't know there's so much about sleep before this.
For me, what I learned is that there's actually like sleep takes time and it's quite impossible to just, I guess, improve your sleep in a week. Like we needed more time than that, and it's a lot of like trial and error also. Yeah, and I think for me, I genuinely think my sleep improved.
I won't say my sleep improved, but overall with these 2 weeks of experience, at least it gave me a good feel of what I need to watch out to make sure that I don't end up sleep deprived. I must say I'm very impressed by this Oura ring. The amount of data it can collect, the convenience it comes with. It's kind of very interesting to wear something that can tell you about not just your sleep, your activities, your exercise,
your stress level.
My stress level and so on.
Yeah.
And I also found out that it is quite expensive.
It's about 450-ish around there. And then $9 subscription monthly.
Yes.
So actually I would recommend it for people who maybe really struggle with their sleep and they don't know why. So they're trying to find patterns and to find out why.
But at the end of the day, what I picked up from even talking to Dr. Stein, right, is that we need to have a good balance between devices that tell us how is our sleep, what we need to do or so on. But equally important is how we feel and how we listen to our body. And also not to be overly concerned about the result, the statistic, the matrix.
Yeah.
We are inbuilt to know how our body feels. And I think overall that will help me.
Like, I thought it was quite funny because it's like we were supposed to go for this sleep retreat, right? But actually it was so hard for us to find the dates to even like go for something like that just to relax. So I think it just made me think that actually it really is a very intentional effort to get better sleep, to spend time together and like relax, right? For like the typical Singaporean, it's hard to make that time.
Correct.
Through this, then yeah, I feel like we've gone closer.
Yes, good, very good. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, so it's been a month and I think 4 things that really improved my sleep was 1, having a sort of wind down routine or wearing sleeping eye masks to sleep, specifically the ones that the sleep retreat gave me, because it just gives you complete darkness and a nice weighted feeling on your eyes. The second is going for occasional morning walks like these or morning exercises, which just makes me feel like I can take on the day. And third is stopping caffeine after 3 p.m. The fourth one is trying to have a more consistent sleep timing, so ideally sleeping before 12. But then again, we spend 1/3 of our lives asleep, and I see it more as a journey of discovering what works and what doesn't rather than a quick fix. So remember, sleep is not for the weak. It's actually really important. So I guess these are what worked for me. I'm curious to know what worked for you. Maybe you can leave it in the comments below.